Howdy ho, and welcome to the third installment of Artist Talk videos, where I talk artists around the world as part of Global Music Match program. And in this video, we're gonna go far, far away because it's coming from down under, so Australia. This is a singer-songwriter who takes influences from folk, country, Americana, even punk and rock music, but the most essence in his music is his land and his love for Australia. Please check out Mr. William Crighton.
I don't understand why they're still clearing the land, why they're poisoning the water now. I don't understand why our elected leaders become bottom feeders to the corporate man. I don't understand. Hey, this is your country.
Mr. William Crighton, welcome to the Nordic guitar music universe.
Thank you for having me, JP. It's a pleasure to be with you, mate.
Where are you exactly now?
I am in Australia, approximately 200 kilometres northwest of Sydney.
So it's down under.
Down under, mate.
Yeah, I just checked that it would take me, if I now start to fly right into your location, it would take me like 1 day and 11 hours with the plane to get your to get into your place. So it's a long way. We are like kind of the opposite sides of the world right now.
Totally. Yes, we are.
Let's start with a simple question. Walk me through quickly how you became professional artist. What's your backstory with music?
Well, you know, I started playing young and always loved to sing and whatnot. My grandmother, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. My mum and dad were in a little town called Ardlethan, and my grandmother used to take us to church on a Sunday. And so in that context, I really first started to sing hymns and that sort of thing. And then, you know, I'd hear country music on the radio and all different types of music well, actually not that many different types of music out there growing up. It wasn't until probably my mid-20s I got into more different styles of music and discovered them in a real way. But and I was always drawn to stories, so I started writing stories probably before stories and songs before I could really even play. And it was just sort of a gradual progression to play music. You know, there's no real quick answer, I suppose. As you know, you sort of just fall into it, and next minute you're playing gigs and it's in you. You know, it's just in you to play and to write. Yeah, I mean, self-taught but guided by numerous amount of good people and shown things along the way.
Yeah, right. That's one of my like life guidelines what comes to work and making art. Like when you are the smartest person in the room, just leave. And
That's right.
That tries to say exactly the same thing, that you have to surround yourself with the people who are more skilled and more wiser than you, so you can learn from them. And it's probably not that black and white, but I like the analogy of that sentence.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. You know, and everyone's you learn off everybody, but especially, you know, people who are really skilled in there and are dedicated. I've sort of found myself, just being inspired by those people, varying ages, you know, of people that don't just necessarily have to be older than you.
I actually just read a couple of your interviews from internet, and your land is really important to you, I guess. And where the land that has raised you is really important, and you tell stories about your childhood locations and what have you like experienced in Australia.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I love the land and the country that we live on and that I was raised in, and I do write those stories about my upbringing and observations and whatnot. But I have a general love for the land anywhere, you know. And when I'm over in Europe, there it's the same thing. I just love being out in it, and we're all from Earth, you know. So it's that I just feel you know, I guess lately, especially with so much, it's so under threat, I think it's brought it to the forefront of my mind again. And I know it's an age, You know, so many musicians through history have sung about that, and I've always been influenced by people who have had that connection with the land and talked about that and sung about it, because it is a deep connection. We are part of it. We are it. You know, we can't separate ourselves from this environment. It just doesn't make any sense. We are
exactly.
it. So then it's how we decide then to treat it, and how we decide to leave it for our kids, you know. And that's everywhere in the world. We all need to be asking ourselves these questions, especially now, because it's like there's a tipping point happening, or there's a bit of a turn happening, you know. There's a bit of a change in the atmosphere. So I think we have to definitely think about that, and that was on my mind when I wrote that song "Your Country" that I think you're referring to.
I won't accept the law that don't protect my kids from those who think they're above us. I will persist to resist the temptation that exists, buying into what keeps us separated. Hey, this is my country.
Yeah, I guess like in this day and age when everything goes more global, and we are now in global music match, and I believe that it's becoming more and more important to know where you've come from, where are your roots, and that's the unique thing in you and in your music. Totally.
And I think if everyone is that, like, as well, you know, everybody, if you tell your own story, if you voice things from your own perspective, then you'll have a unique story.
One thing also that really interests me in generally in Australian culture, the concept of traditional folk music is not so clear, for me at least, what comes to Australia, because when I think Australian music, I of course think indigenous people's music tradition, so the Aboriginal music tradition, but I guess you also have big tradition in like country and folk music that came via immigrants to Australia.
Absolutely. And when you refer to the Aboriginal music, that's and Indigenous music, that's 100% truth. And that music was here resonating with this land far before Australia, the word, was even thought of. You know, it's been here on this continent for hundreds of thousands of years, and that resonates too. You know, like, and you can, is the landscape. And I'm lucky enough to work with a dear friend of mine, William Crighton, who's on the didgeridoo, and you get a sense of that when you're next to it. That's the whole next level of connectivity and music. You know, we were very, very heavily influenced by the Scottish and the Irish coming over here with settlement and convicts. We're a convict nation. Well, we were, you know, settled by convicts primarily and free settlers, and so. You know, there's those traditions of Irish music and Celtic music and German music. You know, there's a big German influence in South Australia, and so it's quite diverse, the types of music you can find here, and there is a melting pot of that folk tradition that has come up through and sounds like Australia. You know, that it has a dryness and a starkness to it, but still a beauty, I suppose. You know, that's a lot of stuff I was influenced by. It has a sound like the bushwhackers and whatnot. They had their bush traditions, and they had the sound.
Hey, this is your country. Hey, this is your country.
How do you feel as an artist living in Australia? As you said, you are probably not living in the most biggest city there in Australia. So do you like feel that it's possible to make a career in Australia without living in the couple major cities that you have?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, here in Australia, there's a good touring network, and there's a good festival network, and there's some good community radios and national radio broadcasters that support the industry and whatnot. And there's a lot of gigs. I mean, and we are small and we are in the bush, but, you know, there's only so many gigs you can do anyway, whether you live in Sydney or Melbourne, you know, or any of the major cities. So I just figure I like living further out in the bush than the cities. And, you know, I only tour once a year and do the odd gigs here and there and other things, and when albums come around, or just for the hell of it. But you get by if you're keen to make the music, and, you know, and you're keen to write the songs and have the audience and do all that, you know, you're going to get by. And that's what we've done. That's what I'll continue to do. You know, I'm lucky enough to have a few fans, enough to be able to tour and maintain a career. And if not, if it all dries up, you do something else. You know, you're still going to keep playing music. It's not, you know.
Yeah, that's something that nobody can take away from you. That right to sing and play.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey man, this has been absolute pleasure to talk to you. And if you ever come to Finland, just give me a call and I'll buy you a drink.
Vice versa, mate. And if you're ever out here, it'll be the same.
Let's do that. Hey, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, JP. Thanks for the chat.